This is part 3 as far as our series of lecture series as far as the Indian Penal Code of 1860 is concerned. And then in this part, I intend to make you aware regarding the chapters, that is one thing, and the sections with which we shall be dealing during course of understanding the provisions of the Indian Penal Code. As I have told you in the past, I hope you must be having bare act of the Indian Penal Code for ready reference with you. If not, don't miss this in the next lecture, because that is the only manner in which a student of law can study the provisions of the law. You should always, whether it is the Indian Contract Act, whether it is the Partnership Act, whether it is the Sale of Goods Act, whether it is the Negotiable Instrument Act, whether it is the Code of Civil Procedure, whichever may be the law. You may read, as I told you in the past, any book, no doubt about it, but you must, for ready reference, you must always have bare act with you, so that you read the section, and let me tell you, by reading the section not only once but a number of times till you understand the section, you can understand most of the part as far as the spirit of the law is concerned by merely reading the words itself. N number of times depends upon an individual. No restriction as to the number of time for which you should go on reading the section, but go on repeating, go on revising, so it becomes very easy for you to understand. So this is the time that you have Indian Penal Code with you. In order to understand the provisions of the Indian Penal Code of 1860, you have to start right from section 1 and go up to section 511. And to understand that, as I told you in the past, you have to go through 23 chapters, out of which chapter number 1, you start right from section 1 and go up to section 5. And then what you understand? You understand application of the Indian Penal Code. Imagine a situation, somebody who is a German national starts from Mumbai, goes to London, kills somebody at London, from there he goes to Paris, and then he goes back to Delhi, whatever may be the reason, and he is arrested at Delhi on the accusation of the offence of murder which has taken place at London. Whether he can be taken before the criminal court at Delhi is the question for our consideration. Whether he can be tried as per the provisions of the Indian Penal Code is the next question that we have to answer. And then, for the purpose of answering this, today I have just raised the question. But in order to find out the answer to this question, you have to refer to first chapter of the Indian Penal Code, right from section 1 up to section 5 of the Indian Penal Code, dealing with intra-territorial and extra-territorial operation of the Indian Penal Code. Now, when we shall be dealing with this chapter, as usual, section 1, which talks about applicability, which says the code extends to the whole of the India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And then why Jammu and Kashmir is excluded as far as the application of the Indian Penal Code of 1860 is concerned. For that, what you have to refer to? You have to refer to Article 370 of the Constitution of India. And then when you work out details as far as Article 370 of the Constitution of India, you will realize the importance. You will realize why this is not made applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, though part and parcel of the territory of India. Indian Penal Code is applicable when the offence takes place within the territory of India. Yes, made very clear as far as section 2 is concerned. But then when you read section 3 and 4, you come to know it's not that Indian Penal Code is not applicable when the offence is committed beyond the territorial limits of India. It is also made applicable. And this is required to be read along with section 188 of the Criminal Procedure Code. We are dealing with the provisions of the Indian Penal Code, no doubt about it. but simultaneously during the course of time I shall be making you aware of some of the provisions as far as constitutional law is concerned, some of the provisions as far as Indian Evidence Act is concerned, some of the provisions as far as Criminal Procedure Code is concerned. And then if you go on learning this simultaneously, instead of having watertight compartments, let me tell you, you will have wonderful approach as far as understanding of the law is concerned. So this is chapter 1 with which we shall be dealing in detail during course of time. Now, Indian Penal Code is applicable to a person who is citizen of India irrespective of the place where he commits an act which amounts to an offence. And then for the purpose of knowing who is citizen of India and who is not citizen of India, again this is the time for you to refer to right from Article 5 up to Article 11 of the Constitution of India. And then simultaneously do refer to the Citizenship Act of 1955. This should be the approach. And then as you go on learning, let me tell you, I shall be telling you minimum thing. Maximum, it is for you to work out, sky is the limit. And if you follow this practice, as when you get a reference to a particular point, try to find out all the details as far as that point is concerned. Now, when we will come to this chapter dealing with the provisions, I hope you might have read the provisions that I have referred to just now, along with, if you read right from section 177 up to 189 of the Criminal Procedure Code, which deals with what? Territorial or local jurisdiction of the criminal code. And this is a section to which I have referred to section 188, when the offence is committed beyond the territorial limits of India, which is the court that has got jurisdiction to try that person within the territory of India, is made very clear, with which we shall be dealing. So this is chapter 1 of the Indian Penal Code, which deals with application of the Indian Penal Code within the territory, yes, and beyond the territorial limits of India, where we shall be referring to some of the provisions as far as the constitutional law is concerned, some of the provisions as far as public international law is concerned during course of time. Today we are not working out details as far as this chapter is concerned, certainly not. Just introduction, you must be aware, and hence this is the time for me to tell you that, well, this is very, all sections are important, no doubt about it. But you must be in a position to know the section on which you are going to concentrate from the point of view of understanding Indian Penal Code. And hence, this is chapter 1. Chapter 2 of the Indian Penal Code, right from section 6 up to section 52A of the Indian Penal Code, and heading of the chapter is General Explanations. I shall not be dealing with this chapter independently. I won't say today we shall be dealing with chapter 2 of the Indian Penal Code, which deals with general explanations. No. I shall have reference back to this chapter during course of my lecture. And what is the reason? The reason I have, to a certain extent, I have told you in the past, we shall be dealing with this, no doubt about it, during course of time. But let me tell you at this point of time, what is the importance of this chapter. Whenever you are dealing with a particular section of the Indian Penal Code, and you come across a particular term, and if you find out that that term is not defined, not explained by that particular section of the Indian Penal Code, then naturally you will have to have reference back to this chapter, right from section 6 up to section 52A of the Indian Penal Code, General Explanations. At the time of dealing with general explanations, at the time of dealing with general exceptions, we will come across one term: if the act is done in good faith. What is the meaning of the term good faith? And then when we are dealing, maybe section 76, maybe section 79, maybe any other section, in order to know what do you mean by good faith as far as criminal law is concerned, because meaning of good faith as far as civil law and meaning of the good faith, meaning of the term good faith as far as criminal law is concerned is entirely different. For that you can have comparison and then find out what is the distinction as far as the meaning of this term when it is used as far as the criminal law is concerned and when it is used as far as civil law is concerned. And that you will understand When we refer to try to understand section 52, which defines what do you mean by good faith as far as Indian Penal Code is concerned. Yes, there are various terms to which we shall be coming across during course of our lecture. When you can say that the state of the mind of an individual was dishonest at the time of doing a particular act, dishonestly is defined by section 24 of the Indian Penal Code. When somebody commits the offense of cheating, the act is required to be done fraudulently on his part. State of the mind is described by the term fraudulently. What do you mean by fraudulently is defined as far as section 25 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. A person is said to do a thing fraudulently if he does that thing with the intent to defraud but not otherwise. Made very clear as far as section 25 is concerned, with which we shall be dealing during course of time. So this is fraudulently. Sometimes you may come across, you may be required to know what do you mean by illegal. And then in order to know the meaning of this term illegal, you have to refer to section 43 of the Indian Penal Code. What do you mean by an offense is defined as far as section 40 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, with which we shall be dealing. What do you mean by special law is defined as far as section 41 is concerned. What do you mean by local law is defined as far as section 42 is concerned. When we refer to life, that is defined as far as section 45 is concerned. What do you mean by death is defined as far as section 46 is concerned. And then as we proceed further, you will come to know that what do you mean by reason to believe is defined as far as section 26 is concerned. Whereas when you want to know what do you mean by voluntarily, in order to understand, let me tell you, as a student of law, remember one thing forever. The meaning of the term as far as common parlance, as it is understood in common parlance, is entirely different as far as law is concerned. Voluntarily is defined as far as section 39 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. This is the state of the mind of an individual with which we shall be dealing during course of time. For example, when we will deal with section 321 of the Indian Penal Code, that defines, that makes what is an offense. Voluntarily causing hurt is an offense. Section 322, voluntarily causing grievous, it is an offense. Or when you refer to section 339 of the Indian Penal Code, which defines the offense of wrongful restraint, you will come to know that if whoever voluntarily obstructs any person, so this is, what do you mean by voluntarily? If you do an act of your own accord, it can be said that it is done voluntarily. But as far as Indian Penal Code is concerned, it has got different meaning, and that is because it is defined by section 39 as far as general explanations are concerned, which says a person is said to cause an effect voluntarily when he causes it by means whereby he intended to cause it, or by means which at the time of employing those means he knew or had reason to believe to be likely to cause it. So this is the meaning of the term voluntarily as far as section 39 is concerned. During course of time, we will come across terms like injury. And then what is the meaning of injury as far as day-to-day life is concerned is entirely different as far as the Indian Penal Code is concerned. When you want to find out meaning of the term injury, you have to refer to section 44 of the Indian Penal Code, which says the word injury denotes any harm whatever illegally caused in body, mind, reputation or property. What is that? With which we shall be dealing in detail, no doubt about it. But this is the time for me to make you aware that as a student of law, when you are dealing with the provisions of the Indian Penal Code, when you want to know meaning of a term, the first thing that is required to be done on your part, you read the section and try to find out whether that term has been defined or explained as far as that section is concerned. If it is not, then immediately have reference back right from section 6 up to section 52 of the Indian Penal Code, so that you will understand, when you refer to the chapter general explanation, you will understand the meaning of the term. This is just by way of illustration that I have started telling you the importance of the chapter. When you want to know what do you mean by public servant, the time for you to refer to section 21 of the Indian Penal Code, where you come across 12 categories, and if he falls under any one of the categories which are enumerated as far as section 21 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, he is what is known as public servant. When you want to know the term who is judge, in order to know that, you have to refer to section 19 of the Indian Penal Code. So this should be your approach from the point of view of this chapter. Don't try to understand this chapter independently. Don't start reading this chapter. As you go on reading, you read chapter 1, you start reading chapter 2. Certainly not. Don't. It may not be possible for you to understand, let me tell you. But when, have reference to this chapter as and when you come across a particular term. And then, with this now, as we proceed further, in order to know what do you mean by document, you will understand the term document provided, during the course of time when we shall be dealing with the offence of extortion defined by section 383. Which says, whoever intentionally puts any person in fear of injury to himself or to any other person and thereby dishonestly induces the person so put in fear to deliver any property or valuable security or anything signed or sealed which can be converted into valuable security commits extortion. In order to know valuable security, you refer to section 30 of the Indian Penal Code. But in order to know valuable security, you must know what do you mean by document, which is defined as far as section 29 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. So what do you mean by electronic record? You have to refer to section 29 capital A of the Indian Penal Code, and then only it will be possible for you to understand, otherwise not. What do you mean by will? A will is defined as far as section 31 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. So this is the meaning to which we shall be coming across. I don't claim, I don't say that we have dealt with this chapter, certainly not. And today we are not going to deal with any chapter for the simple reason, this is just introduction. As if I have not told you in the past, let me repeat it, that understanding of the Indian Penal Code is with presumption. And what is the presumption? That you have done homework. Let me tell you one thing. When I was in the school, my teacher used to tell me that whenever you come to the class, before you come to the class, you read the topic with which your teacher is going to deal and then come to the class. That is, first homework which is required to be done on the part of every student who wants to, understand the subject. When you are in the class, now this is sort of a class, though we are not meeting directly, but this, electronic media, thanks to the electronic media, because of which, though I am in States over here, it is possible for me to have contact with everybody in the world. And then, when you are in my class now, you must be attentive in the class. Once the topic is over, once the lecture is over, you go back again and start reading the same. And then if you have got any difficulty, if you have got any question, if you have got any doubt, get your doubt solved. For that, first of all, try to read yourself. Try to, start reading, and then if there is application of the mind, it will be possible for you to answer every question that is raised by you yourself. And then, in case of any problem, in case of any difficulty, well, I am with you forever. And hence, if this is the approach that is followed by you, as I am telling you, you read, you start reading before, and then come to the class, and then it will be very easy for you to understand the subject with which we are dealing. So this is the importance as far as second chapter of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. But before I proceed to the next chapter, let me draw your attention. At times, for example, when we shall be dealing with section 146 of the Indian Penal Code, which defines rioting, we come across one term, violence. Now you want to know the meaning of the term violence. What you will do? You will naturally, as it is told by Professor H.B. Deshmukh, naturally you will have reference back right from section 6 up to section 52A of the Indian Penal Code. And then you will tell me, sir, that is not at all defined anywhere right from section 6 up to section 52A of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. What do you expect me to do? You have a remedy. And what is the remedy? This is the time for you to, refer to the provisions of the General Clauses Act of 1897 to find out meaning of the same. Now you refer to the General Clauses Act and try to find out meaning of the same, and if it happens that you don't come across meaning of this term anywhere defined as far as General Clauses Act of 1897 is concerned, the last remedy that is available to you as a student of law is to refer to any standard dictionary from the point of view of understanding the meaning of it. And then during course of time, there are certain terms there are certain terminologies which are explained by either the Supreme Court or the High Court. So at times when it's a question of interpretation, and we will come across this term, namely to find out, putting a person in fear of injury to himself or to any other person. What is the meaning of this any other person? And this has got also reference when we shall be dealing with section 97 of the Indian Penal Code, which says you have got right to defend your property or property of any other person. You have got right to defend your body or the body of any other person. Now this meaning of this any other person is entirely different as far as section 383 and section 97 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, with which we shall be dealing during course of time, no doubt about it. But for that, whenever we come across a particular terminology like any other person, and you want to find out what is the interpretation, what is the meaning of it, the time for you to refer to what? The decisions which are given by the court of law. Otherwise, as I told you, to understand the decision, if you start reading any case, maybe with respect to what? Rape, that is defined by section 375 of the Indian Penal Code, then you can't understand everything for the simple reason, in order to understand the entire case law as a student of law, you must know Indian Penal Code. Yes. But whether by merely reading Indian Penal Code it will be possible for you to understand the provisions, understand the entire case that is decided maybe either by the High Court or the Supreme Court? Certainly not. You must know the provisions of the Criminal Procedure Code. And then once you know the provisions of the Criminal Procedure Code along with the provisions of the Criminal Procedure Code, as a student of law, to understand the importance of the decision that is given either by the Supreme Court or by the High Court, you must be familiar with the provisions of the Indian Evidence Act. Now I know as per the syllabus, in 1 year you are taught the provisions of the Indian Penal Code. In the next year, you are taught provisions as far as the Indian Evidence Act of 1872 is concerned, and as far as the last year is concerned, you deal with the provisions of the Criminal Procedure Code. Yes, I know that. But then, as a student of law, this is my humble request to you: never wait till the time that you have to, prepare that, or you are taught, in the classroom itself. No. You have this method, and it is because of this method that it will be possible for you to understand the provisions very clearly. And then, if this is the approach, that will definitely help you in the long run. Whatever may be the walk of the life that you have as far as career in law is concerned, but this should be the approach from the point of view of understanding the same. So, this is regarding chapter 2, with which we shall be dealing during course of time as far as general explanations are concerned. With this now, we shall start dealing as far as chapter 3 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. And chapter 3 of the Indian Penal Code is on punishment. So when you want to know regarding punishments, we shall be dealing with different types or kinds of punishments. But now, as a student of criminal law, as a student learning criminal law, you must know theories of punishment. So what we shall be dealing? During course of time, we will try to understand different theories of punishment and what are the different kinds of punishment, and rest of the parts with which we shall continue our discussion as far as next part of our series of lectures is concerned.